Netflix is finally coming to Linux.
Yay! Now 5 other people in the world will be able to enjoy Netflix.
But it's mainly just because they've started supporting HTML5 video support instead of having to rely on Silverlight. And just some people discovered that you just had to change your user agent to identify as a Windows computer instead of a Linux computer, and you could load up Netflix just fine with HTML5 enabled. And Netflix saw that and was like, well, if it's that easy, let's just turn off checking the user agent. Linux.
There we go. Fortunately, every time I refresh this darn thing, it resets whether I mute it or not. That's cheating.
Usually mine saves that setting, like even between. Oh no, that was Twitch. I think YouTube acts differently.
No, it's kind of weird. Some settings will change. Like my email setting for my font changed to tiny. Like,
yeah.
Why? I never changed it to tiny.
To answer your question, Matthew, it was back in 2005 when I got fed up with Windows XP crashing on me every half an hour, blue screening all the time, and decided to switch to Linux, and have never looked back. I love it.
How many crashes has Linux had? Using it?
It crashes every once in a while, but usually it's the result of a program that's running. Like, something runs and the program isn't flushing memory properly, and so it just eats up all of my available resources and then crashes my computer. And then I just stop using that specific software, and I'm usually fine. I don't think Ubuntu itself has ever crashed on me like that. So.
Well, get the stopwatch ready. It's time to start the show.
Okie dokie.
Wait a minute. Why do I have my microphone down like that? I'm using that microphone. Whatever.
All right.
Is this a good look for me? Okay.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yep, ready.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Super Podcast Action Committee, episode 115, which is a number greater than the amount of retail games on the Wii U, but a number much less than the amount of games skipping the Wii U for every other console. I finished my 150 games for everything but Wii U video. It's done editing. It's rendered. I just have to, but it's 10.5 minutes long, so I have to upload it overnight while I'm sleeping, because I need my computer to capture Hyrule Warriors footage. Yes, I have Hyrule Warriors, and I've had it for almost 2 weeks, so neener. Yeah, that's what I was talking about last week, although it's probably fairly, if you know me.
Yeah.
If you know me, you know I own a Nintendo console, and if you look at the release list, unless I have something months early, what else could I have had? Maybe Smash Brothers for the 3DS, but so I'll yammer about that in a minute. But EZK, hello.
Hello, everybody.
How have you been doing? Any cool games been occupying your time this week?
0 games have occupied my time this week, which is a kind of a sad, I guess. I've been wanting to play more of the Humble Bundle games that I bought, but man, if I don't have any time. So, let's see. This week though, interesting stuff. I started watching Scrubs. It's a little hospital-based sitcom, which is actually fairly entertaining. I finished season 5 of Parks and Recreation last week, and was trying to find something else to watch. And after asking everybody and getting like half a dozen shows or suggestions and stuff, I stumbled on Scrubs on my own and decided to watch it. And so I've been liking it. and it'll last me through for a while. I guess there's 9 seasons of it, so I'll get to see which season is the one where it starts going downhill.
How many seasons are there? There's a bunch of them, aren't there?
There's
Like
9, yeah.
10? 9.
Yeah, 9 seasons is what's on Netflix. I guess that's all of it because I don't think the show is still on the air. But I haven't looked into it. But yeah, no games though. I was hoping to have some time to play SteamWorld Dig today, but that didn't happen. But yeah, so my gaming has been sad this week. What about you? Other than, is it just Hyrule Warriors that you've been playing?
Yeah, that's it. That's all I've had time for. Hyrule Warriors is actually a very content-rich. It's a lot more time-consuming than I thought it would be, but oh well. The main game is 18 stages or levels, and each one takes about 30 minutes. You know, sometimes as little as 25, if you know, but some of them can take up to 45 if you're searching the entire map for all the hidden goodies. And most of the stages you have to play at least twice to pick up all the hidden goodies. Some of them 3 times. So,
is there
if you just run
a reason? Is there a particular reason why you need to do it?
Yeah, because each stage has a hidden heart container and a hidden heart piece, but they can only be found by certain characters. So some levels, like the heart container, can only be found by Link, and the heart piece can only be found by Zelda. So
it's kind of like the Lego games, you know, where you have to use certain characters to unlock certain things. And
yeah, it's similar to that. There's one stage where you have to play it 3 times because it forces you to play Link the first time, but 2 different characters can find the 2 hidden pieces, so you have to play through it 3 times. So it was over 20 hours before I actually made it all the way through the game. It took me damn near the whole first week.
Wow.
To just get through those 18 stages. And then there's adventure mode, which takes the original Legend of Zelda map, that 16 by 8 map that the original Legend of Zelda has, and each square on the map is its own challenge or level in and of itself. And while some of those can take under 10 minutes, some of them can take up to 20, and there's 128 of them. And I'm like, oh man, that's where most of the character unlocks and weapon unlocks are. And it's like, oh man, that's going to take a while to get through, man. So I kind of shifted, because I was originally going to go through adventure mode and get all the unlocks, because I figured that's what people would be interested in first, but then I realized that's going to take me weeks. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do all the walkthrough stuff first, just so when the game launches at the end of next week, we have a good chunk of the guide done. You know, it's like, here's the walkthrough, here's all the stuff you can find in the main game, and then I'll just keep plugging away at the adventure mode. The game kind of threw me a curveball once I beat the main mode, by saying, "Hey, congratulations, you beat Legend mode. Hey, you're awesome. By the way, we've hidden an additional golden skulltula in every single stage, and you can only find it if you play the game again on hard difficulty." I'm like, damn it.
Nice.
So now I'm playing. I just finished level 2, going back through and finding the newly hidden gold skulltulas.
So can you find these with any character, or do you have to use specific characters to find them?
Your first time through the game, the first skulltulas, all of the skulltulas will appear after you defeat 1,000 enemies, and that's with any character. When you go back through the game on hard mode, all these skulltulas are very specific. You have to be playing on hard mode, you have to be using a certain character, and you have to be using a certain character's weapon. And the requirements are more detailed than just beat 1,000 enemies. It's usually something like, some of the explanation of what you have to do when you first started is, complete blank blank blank's plan and do blank 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 before blank 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 does blank blank blank. And you're like, oh man, really? Just tell me what I need to do. So, Zachary, did you go away? No, there you are.
Yeah, I'm back. I don't know what happened there. Same thing, I guess. I've been having problems with my internet the past couple of weeks, or over the past week. Like, things will be really slow. I guess the connection drops or whatever. I don't know what's going on. It's driving me insane. Because like I was trying to watch just YouTube videos the other day, and they were just taking forever to load. It's like my it's like I went back to 1.5 megs per second or something. But yeah, it's insane. But yeah, you were saying that okay, so you have to use a specific character, specific weapon, and to find the Skulltulas.
Yeah. Let me answer. Nestor says, "Do you get anything for going through all that trouble?" Well, you for each golden Skulltula you find, you get a piece of. Let me see if the camera's gonna.
No, you can't get that. It's washed out.
Let me lock it on me for a second. Oh, you can almost kind of see it. There we go.
That's
okay.
better. That's better. Okay.
So you see the illustration there, and you see that piece of the picture missing. For every Skulltula you find, you get a piece of the picture. So you kind of unlock art piece by piece in an image gallery, and there's 5 of these pictures. So there's 100 Skulltulas in the game, 5 illustrations. So 20 per illustration.
20 pieces.
Yeah, and there's 36 Skulltulas, I guess, hidden in Legend mode, and there's a bunch hidden in Adventure mode, and I found maybe 4 of them over there. So once you find all 100 Skulltulas, I don't know if anything happens. I'll let you know. I'm not there yet. The game is. I'm enjoying it. I think it's fun. I've never played a Warriors game before, but I'm really quite enjoying it. I was afraid it would be monotonous and boring, just constantly smacking dudes upside the head. But the game really forces you to strategize where you're running around the map smacking dudes, because there's like a big monster up here, and there's a big monster down here, and this keep over here is about to fall, and this captain over here is crying for help. So you need to, prioritize and strategize and figure out where you're needed the most. And you are the only competent person on the battlefield. No one else can do a damn thing but you. So I need it. Yeah, I mean they're not like Slippy Toad bad. Fox, I need help. Get this guy off of me. But
it's basically like any other game, where the AI-controlled players basically do nothing. They're not even cannon fodder because unless they're programmed to die, they don't die. And
yeah, it's weird because you knock over a Dodongo and you start hammering away at it, and Zelda's standing there going. I'm like, you want to pitch in, Zelda? Come on, you come over here, start stabbing. You're not helpless. I know you're not because I've seen you fight. Now get over here and run the Dodongo through. But your allies will occasionally defend keeps, and they'll I'll find a keep has been captured by someone else on the other end of the field. I'm like, oh, hey, that saves me the trouble. Thanks.
Yeah. That's cool.
What I find interesting is the end boss fight, which I'm not going to spoil, but if you've ever played a Zelda game, I'm sure you can figure out what it is. It comes in 2 stages, and the first stage is brilliant. I mean, absolutely pinnacle of game design. What it does is it forces you to learn from the previous bosses in the game. You have to destroy pieces of the boss. You know, its left arm, its right arm, the horns on its head. And how you destroy each piece, there's a visual cue letting you know what to do. And because each of those visual cues comes from a previous fight, like the Dodongo.
Yeah.
For instance, the Dodongo, you chuck bombs in its mouth. So when it opens its yaw and it starts inhaling, there's this big orange swirling vortex. So you chuck bombs in there. The end boss, one of its, it's like right arm gauntlet, which shoots fireballs or something, does a similar orange glow. So if you're paying attention, you're like, oh, I should hit that with bombs. And the same thing with other pieces. And I thought that was really, really clever. And then the second end of the fight is just kind of stupid, because all you do is circle strafe around it until it lets down its guard, and then you smack it in the head.
No ping pong.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate, because one criticism I'd have for the game is a lot of the captain enemies, not the little minions, but the actual warriors in the field, the moblins and the Lizalfosses and stuff like that. They basically, you fight them all the same way. You lock on, and then you circle strafe around them until they do their major attack, dodge out of the way, and the little "I'm open" symbol appears above their head, and then you start wailing on them. There's really no point to engaging them at any other time, because they take almost no damage. Unless you're way over leveled, there's no point in attacking them. So it ends up being you just stand there twiddling your thumbs, waiting for the big Poe to shoot out a fireball so you can start causing damage. And that's a little irritating at times, but So, and the game is IGN gave it a 7, which I agree with. I personally probably would have bumped it up as far as an 8, just because of how well the game does its Zelda fan service. Yeah. I think just as a game in and of itself, I think 7 is an appropriate score. But as a humongous Zelda fanboy, there's so much cool nods to the characters and history of the franchise that you're like, that's so cool. Navi shows up in one point, and you're like, hey, listen, and just because, and she does her little hey listens, and it's wonderful. So, just as a fanboy, I'd probably bump it up a full point for that. But it's a good game.
If it had if Tingle was in there, would you go with a 10?
Tingle is probably not an unlockable character in the base game. However, there's some DLC coming, and it looks like that adds characters and scenarios and stuff. And one of them is the Majora's Mask pack. So Tingle, I think, might be one. It's possible Tingle might be one of the 2 characters in there.
Yeah.
So he still may show up in the game as a playable character at some point anyway, but not so far. I actually haven't unlocked any characters yet. Well, I've unlocked all the characters that unlock by playing through the campaign, which is all but I think 4 of them. But So a good game. If you hate the Warriors franchise, I think you'll appreciate the Zelda stuff if you're a fan of that franchise, but I don't think it's going to change your mind about Warriors. If you really don't like the Warriors games, this is probably not going to change your mind, even if you are a big Zelda fan. So.
Okay. So, Nestor says it's going to hold you over until Bayonetta 2?
Probably. I think Bayonetta 2 is the end of October, which gives me... I should be done with the guide sooner than that, but there is a lot of stuff, and it depends on if IGN wants to buy me the DLC, and I doubt that's coming out this month, but
probably not.
If they said here's the season pass, just keep adding content, I'd be like, okay. Actually, I'd probably say, pay me more. I'll do that. This game is long enough. I did the guide for Monster Hunter Ultimate, Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate boy, was that a mistake. That took me like 7 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. So we had a couple questions in the on the Facebooks on what our opinions about some news from this week is. And Jesse, our buddy from overseas, says, "What do you think about the Deadpool movie?" Well, they've announced that they're going to make a Deadpool movie. I'm fine with that. Are you fine with them making a Deadpool movie, Zachary?
Yeah, I would say I'm fine with that. I don't see any problem with it.
Yeah. Did you see the leaked test footage or proof of concept footage that leaked around Comic-Con time?
Yeah, I did. I watched it, and it was fairly entertaining.
Yeah, I liked it.
So
I don't know if that would be kind of a hard tone and energy to sustain for a 90-minute film, but
yeah. Well,
they certainly
opinions
nailed
going
what's
around
funny
is
about the
that
character. So
yeah, but opinion going around the internet right now is that they need to keep Ryan Reynolds because he did a pretty good job in the Wolverine or in Wolverine Origins, not the Wolverine. The Wolverine is the sequel, but he did a good job as the character then, and I think he definitely makes a better Deadpool than he does a Green Lantern. So,
well, I don't think Green Lantern was totally his fault either.
No, but
I think the poor guy just keeps ending up in crappy movies.
Yeah, and the other opinion is that it needs to be rated R rather than PG, shoehorned into PG-13. Basically, I guess people just want the blood and guts and then the crass humor to go along with it. So yeah. I guess it would end up being a cross between like The Hangover and Commando in that sense.
Yeah. Nestor asks, is Deadpool Marvel or DC? He's Marvel.
Yes, he's Marvel, part of the X-Men franchise, and that's why Fox has him instead of Marvel Disney. So.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. Huh.
Yeah.
Come to think of it, it is Fox doing the film, so I guess that.
Yeah.
Why?
He's a mutant, and Fox owns the movie rights to everything mutants and everything related to X-Men.
Okay.
So,
yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
All right. The other one we had was from Justin Mellinson. A little bit of a long one. Basically describes this story. He says, there was a loss of someone who was trying to sell their PS4. He foiled their robbery, and the 16-year-old girl who brought her baby with her also brought out a gun, accidentally shot her boyfriend in the hand, and killed the guy they were robbing almost instantly. Yeah, I think that was the Craigslist thing.
Yeah,
the guy was
Craigslist
trying to sell his PS4.
Yeah, PS4 is what it was, yeah.
And a guy and a gal and a baby pulled up into his driveway and then shot him as he was, handing over the PS4. And the bullet went straight through the guy's hand. So, yeah that don't really have much to comment on other than that's very horrible.
Yes, it sucks a lot. It's just one of those things that you do need to take precautions when you go and sell stuff on Craigslist, especially if you're meeting in person. I don't, something like that. I probably wouldn't meet at my house. I would say, hey, meet me in the Walmart parking lot, and we'll make the exchange there. Something like that. Someplace where there's a lot of people around.
Yeah.
A lot of potential.
Might go like, I'll meet you in the mall food court, man.
There we go.
I imagine, he was in his driveway. I don't know if it was night or day, but it's like if I'm not safe in my own driveway in the broad daylight,
Yeah.
It sucks that you have to. That's always a concern, but I mean, I guess it's always a concern no matter what you do, whether you get behind the wheel or you get on an airplane or go walking down the street. It's like a meteor could crash into my face, So yeah, horrible stuff. And then there was someone was complaining about a Slender Man costume.
Oh, that was me. Well, I posted the link to that, and there were some parents or something in Wisconsin, I believe. They saw a Slender Man costume at a at a Halloween store, and they're like, "Oh no, you got a Slender Man costume! Don't you know that people are killing other people in the name of Slender Man?" I'm like,
yeah, but you know, people kill other people in the name of lots of stuff. Do we really need to remove all of it from stores? You know, the weird thing about that whole case, if you guys didn't hear, and I hope I'm retelling this right, but from what I remember, 2 young girls stabbed another girl and said they did it to appease Slender Man, which I'm going to say that's horse poop, because that's not actually part of the Slender Man mythology. I think they're... I don't know, but I don't know if they're making up a story or if they got the Slender Man story wrong, but there's no sacrifice other people to please Slenderman component to that mythology, so I don't get that whole thing. Anyway, so yeah, and I still have Hyrule Warriors before you.
Well, you have any Wii U game before me because I don't own a Wii U yet.
True blue. Right, so
I don't think it's anything like the movie Scream. Slender Man is just one of those. It's one of those urban legends where people are, you know, they post pictures where Slender Man's somewhere in the background, and you know, and it all started as some gag on the internet. Like, it was literally a gag, you know. So I was like, hey, let's start our own urban legend, and that's what they came up with.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's interesting, you know. It's taken on a life of its own, which is actually kind of cool.
There's 2 video games.
Yeah.
And I played the first one. I actually was going to do a Let's Play of Slender Man back in the day when everyone was doing reaction videos, just because I thought it would be funny to see me squeal like something that squeals in a very high-pitched pig. I don't know. Just that. So I played it and I recorded it, and it was the most boring thing ever. Nothing happened. I had not watched the game before, so I didn't really know what was going on or what it was supposed to do or what Slender Man looked like, or, you know, so it's kind of stumbling around, which is really all you do in the game. And I walked around for literally 8 minutes before Slender Man ever bothered to show up. And when he finally showed up, I went, "Is that him? Really? A guy in a suit?" That's it? Slender Man's a guy in a suit. Wow, okay. And I said, okay, I guess I'll just walk the other way. And I walked the other way, and eventually the game just turned my character right around and went booga booga, and my game was over, and I went, okay. So apparently he just warped up behind me and grabbed me and spun me around or something. I thought, well, this is the most boring reaction video ever, which is why I never posted it. So yeah. So yeah, I'm kind of boring. Okay, so let us discuss the poll from this week. One of our more popular polls of recent weeks. We had 365 people. Hey, days in the year. 365 people respond to it, and this week's question was, did Microsoft pay too much for Minecraft developer Mojang? If you guys didn't know, Monday Microsoft announced that it had paid $2.5 billion for Mojang, the makers of Minecraft. So,
now, is that a 2 pinky price?
Well, you know, in the movie it goes $100 billion, just with 1 pinky. So maybe it would have to be $1 trillion to do both. I'm not sure.
I guess.
But let's see what our lovely readers think. Did Microsoft pay too much? 34% said good gravy, yes. 16% said a bit, yeah. 15% said nah, $2.5 billion sounds about right. 6% said Mojang is worth more than that. And 29% said Microsoft shouldn't have bought Mojang in the first place.
Yeah. Then we got a couple of comments in the shout box said that they don't care. So.
Yeah, I get. Sometimes I'll put in an I don't care option, but figured nah. So, what do you think, Zachary? Too much? Just right?
I said good gravy, yes. It's been 2 weeks since the rumor started, and I still have no clue how it's all worth $2.5 billion and how Microsoft is going to earn all that back.
Microsoft says that'll be a profitable deal by what, spring of next year or something like that.
Like June, I think. Like the end of the fiscal year, they're going to. They said that they're going to make that all back by the end of the fiscal year, which I'm going to be surprised if they actually do.
Unless they start trying, I don't know what they're going to do. Are they, like, if you try to craft your own house, are they going to charge you rent? Are they going to become the Minecraft landlord? I don't know. Do you have to pay a tax on every thing you craft in the game?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm wondering,
And Zachary drops again. Bye, Zachary. Let's give him. There he is. Come on, Oklahoma Internet. I know you can do it. There you are.
Okay, this is getting really frustrating. But as I was saying, I'm just wondering, how much money they could get from movie rights and TV rights, and then there's merchandising, which is actually pretty big deal right now because there's tons of Minecraft merchandise. And then I guess novelizations, they could sell rights for people to write novels about it. So I guess there's lots of ways they could make money that aren't directly based on the game itself, but $2.5 billion worth, that would at least take 2 years, from just my back of the napkin calculations. I can't see it happening in the next year.
I might have sung a different tune a few years ago, but today it's like everyone's it's still popular, but it would be like paying $2.5 billion for Warcraft, a World of Warcraft. It'd be like, really? Why?
Well, isn't that what Activision
10 years ago,
did?
yeah. But I don't know how much they paid for it, but
yeah, I don't remember. It wasn't.
They also bought it back when it was super, super popular, and Minecraft is still super popular, but it's nowhere near the the height of its popularity anymore. It's over the hump now. So
yeah,
it's
they're
not
still
so much
selling copies, but not as many.
Oh yeah. Well, I think everyone who wants it kind of has it by now, except people who only own a Nintendo system, because PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, PlayStation Vita, Xbox 360, Xbox One, PC, Mac, Linux, iOS,
Android and iPhone,
Ouya, and Raspberry Pi, and probably the Windows Phone. So.
Not yet, at least.
Probably the Windows. What I mean is, since Microsoft owns it, probably eventually the Windows Phone.
Yeah, it'll definitely hit the Windows Phone. Yeah, that's for sure.
But not the Wii U, not the 3DS, not the Wonder Swan either. So it's not like the Wii U's the only console. Game Gear hasn't got shit in years. So,
Matthew, I would kill to have that internet connection. I would literally go and kill anybody that Verizon wanted me to kill if they offered me that internet connection in return. I'm in the belly of a monopoly here. Well, the best I can get is 10 megs up and like 10 megs down and 1.5 megs up.
That's the best you never hit those speeds.
I pay probably the same amount I would for Verizon's 50/50 there. Maybe even a little bit more. But yeah, my internet connection sucks. It's terrible.
Yeah, and I seriously doubt you ever hit those speeds.
Yeah, I think every once in a while I do, but they definitely bog you down once during peak hours. And it drives me nuts. But yeah, I'm surprised that I'm having these problems, but they ticked me off a couple of weeks ago. Like, they changed my the password in order to connect my modem to the internet without telling me they changed my password, and that was really annoying. And but yeah, but this week I've just been having a lot of internet connectivity issues, and but hopefully I can get it figured out. But yeah. Okay, but back to the poll. But yeah, golly, Minecraft. Let's see. Did anybody say anything? Yeah, we've got, yeah, they said that they're going to break even by June 2015.
Yeah,
and,
not only do I think Microsoft paid too much, I think it really could have managed a better deal. I think it could have lowballed them a bit on that price and still been able to come away with the company.
Yeah, I'm very curious how the negotiations went. Did Microsoft actually come in with a lower number, and Mojang or Notch say, no, I'm not going to settle for anything less than $3 billion, or something like that? I'm trying to picture it. It's how the negotiations went.
I'll sell out for $4 million. That's my price. $4 million.
Yeah.
I'm all yours. Anyone wants to buy me for $4 million, I will start, shilling for Sony or whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, it's insane. But I wonder how the $2.5 billion is being split, because it's not like this isn't like the Facebook Oculus deal where the founders of Oculus are still there and working for them and developing the product and everything. It's basically the Oculus thing was $1 billion going towards development of the thing. But this is just $2.5 billion going directly to Notch and the two other founders, and so they're all out of there. They're taking the money and running, and I'm just wondering what the split is. Is it like $500 million for each of the other two guys, and Notch gets $1.5 billion himself? I'm just curious what the split is, because I wouldn't mind to be a part of that. But even $500 million, that's $500 million. That's more than I would ever need. I'd be able to. I could live with my family. I could live off of just under $10 million for the rest of my life. That's all I would need to take care of my family and live into retirement for 30 years. And so I couldn't imagine having anything more than that and be like, what am I supposed to do with all this money?
Well, maybe you'll, like Notch, hit it big with one of your finite game projects just for some reason just catches on and becomes a Flappy Bird success, and you pull in $10,000 a day or something. Yeah. Was it 50 grand a day?
I think it was 50 grand a day is what that they were talking about for Flappy Bird. But yeah, I'm just my mind is blown on this whole deal, and I think this is probably the biggest purchase of a single game, and that's essentially what this is. They're not buying a game company; they're buying a game, and the people who work on that game. And it's not like Mojang had anything promising in the works. They had Scrolls, and that was it. And
maybe they saw it behind closed doors viewing of the in-progress scrolls, and we're like, holy crap, we got to get in on this. It's going to be huge. Who knows?
Who knows, yeah.
Wish I had that kind of money to throw around.
Oh, yeah.
But I do not. All right, let us move on. So the FTC is cracking down on COPPA violations. COPPA being the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, basically the thing that tries to keep your kids from buying $1,000 worth of Smurf berries in the little iPhone games. So,
Well, it's a little more than that, but
well, yeah, but go ahead.
basically, COPPA is about the idea behind it is to protect children from nefarious people. You know, protecting them from marketers and pedophiles and all that good stuff. They it's basically says that kids aren't allowed to use web services without their parents' explicit permission, and it has to be everything they go to, every site they go to, they have to get that parent's permission, and and so basically a lot of websites and a lot of web services just put a blanket ban on anybody that's under 13 years old because 13 and up, COPPA laws don't apply. That's just other laws apply there. The same thing that applies to adults. But anybody that's under 13, they have to actually get parents' permission, and it has to be something signed and emailed in or sent in somehow. And it's a big, insane process. And so apparently the COPPA was originally founded just basically with web services, websites and other things online, and then over the years it's kind of went into anything that's online. So video games, like World of Warcraft and EVE Online and Second Life and all that stuff, even Minecraft, what we were just talking about. COPPA applies to all that stuff. And so yeah, the FTC has been really cracking down. They hit up Yelp just last week. Yelp is paying few $100,000. $450. Yeah. So Yelp is paying a fine of that because kids were using the service, and Yelp wasn't doing anything to stop them, and which is actually kind of interesting because really, much like any other kind of age gating, COPPA has resulted not in children getting their parents' permission, but children lying about how old they are, which is kind of bad for any web service or game that gets caught, because even though the kid lies about their age, COPPA still applies to those kids, and so if there's kids on your service, even if they lied about your service, you could still get fined by the FTC. It's kind of like drinking age laws and statutory rape. Even if the kids lie about their age, the drinking establishment could still get in trouble, and the person who has sex with a minor could still get in trouble. Even though the kid lied about their age. And so yeah, it's basically very dangerous for any web service if they don't like getting fined, and that happened to Tiny Monsters developer TinyCo, because they basically said that COPPA doesn't apply to them, and which is actually kind of interesting. They felt that because COPPA is COPPA is written in such a way that it's written saying that the service has to either appeal to kids or be a service that kids are likely to use, or something along those lines. And TinyCo basically tried to give itself plausible deniability by saying, no, we're making games for adults, and we don't know who plays our games and how old they are and all that stuff, and that didn't work. They still got in trouble, had to pay $300,000 in fines.
Yeah, which is interesting. That and what someone pointed out. Who is this person? Let's see. This is the Age Check company that makes tools to help mobile app developers comply with the COPPA law. Says that in the past, the FTC was going after Sony and Disney for millions, And that's true. We're kind of used to seeing these huge multi-million-dollar suits here. And to see some of these relatively smaller ones, 450,000, 300,000, that's like, FTC isn't just going after the big fish. It's getting serious and saying, okay, everybody, you're all in the pool. Yeah. None of you are allowed to pee in it. We put the little chlorine tabs that turn color when you do, so we know it's you, and we'll get you. I don't know where I'm going with that analogy. Matthew says that this is a classic case of good intention, bad policy execution.
Yeah.
And we see that a lot too. It's kind of like trademark and copyright law, the DMCA. It's actually I think their hearts were in the right place, even if their heads were up their butt, and continue to be. So, do you think the COPPA law needs any changing? Do you think they need to? Need to be reformed?
I think there definitely needs to be some reformation happening. Like there's actually been some calls for reforming it. When I was doing my Google search here, let me see if I can pull this up. There's actually a Game Politics article from a few months back.
That's a great site. You all should read it.
Yeah. No, this is actually from 2010. But there's children's advocates have called for COPPA Act reform. And let's see what they had to say. Well, this might actually be reform in the form of getting it. Let's see. Campaign for Commercial-Free Childhood, American Academy of Pediatrics, Children Now, and Consumer Federation. They argue that COPPA was past computers were only a means of accessing the internet. Now, of course, cell phones, video game machines, and other interactive stuff, allow them to get on. So basically, these groups are asking for a more expansive COPPA, something that, definitely covers a lot more stuff. My thoughts is that this is just, it's definitely good intentions, but the execution just doesn't work because really there's no way to get around the idea that kids lie, and this thing basically says forces kids to lie if they want to use something and don't want to deal with the process to actually be able to use it legally. It's kind of like age gating videos. You throw up, how old are you? And everybody just opens the scroll box for the year and scrolls down until they hit
everyone was born on January 1st. Fancy that. And everyone seems to be around 70 years old. Approximately two scroll wheel spins.
Yeah. There's that, and let's see what else is there. I had another comparison that I'm trying to remember now. But yeah, basically it's that. It's that, and what I would like to see is some kind of safe harbor style protections, like the DMCA. Has it written in law that a service like YouTube cannot be sued directly for the infringement its users do. So, like, if somebody uploads infringing videos onto YouTube, YouTube itself isn't, can't be held liable for that, as long as they go along with the other parts of the DMCA, the whole takedown process. I think COPPA needs something like that. So if a kid lies about their age, and in order to use a web service or a video game, there needs to be some level of protection for the game company or the web service company from that. If they do what they can to ensure that people are being as honest as possible and signing up and they're getting that permission, if somebody signs up and 11-year-old kid signs up and says they're 15, the company shouldn't be held liable for that, and that's definitely something that needs to be addressed.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let us move on to a new topic, and that new topic is pause for suspense. The ESRB's 20th birthday. Happy birthday, ESRB.
1 year, one more year, and the ESRB can drink legally.
Right. So it's nice to see that the ESRB is old enough to play all of the games that it rates.
Yep. And in 1 more year, they can, they'll be able to drink and drown out all the sorrows of the previous 21 years. And
yeah, did I tweet or did I email? I forget, but I contacted the ESRB somehow, and I said, "Happy birthday!" Now get rid of the AO rating. And Zachary dropped off again and didn't hear my incredibly witty witticism.
There I go. I'm back.
I think I emailed the ESRB and I said, "Happy birthday! Now get rid of the AO rating." I didn't hear back.
Of course not.
But well, the ESRB. I like the ESRB. It's been a while since we've had anyone actually complain about the ESRB and how it's corrupt or ineffectual or is trying to hide content to make sure that little kids play it.
Yeah, I think it was Manhunt 2 was the last real ESRB scandal, as far as I remember, anyway.
Yeah, and that wasn't even really that much of a. It wasn't like the ESRB's scandal. It was more like everyone else's, because ESRB rated it AO, and then Rockstar put that really crappy filter which really destroyed the game, and then got it an M rating, which really pointed out that it's not the content that the platform holders object to, it's the rating. It's the little sticker on the box. Because they knew what Manhunt 2 was. They knew what kind of content was in that game, and they were totally fine with that game selling on their platforms, Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony alike. But as soon as the ESRB slapped an AO on it, they said, "Whoa, no, not touching that with a 10-foot pole." So, yeah, it's the rating. It's not the content.
Yeah, definitely. But let's look back at over the years, and the ESRB put together some nice infographics about the 20 years. And in 1994 is when it was founded under the direction of the Interactive Digital Software Association, which is now the ESA. And they had they had 5 ratings. They had early childhood, kids to adult, teen, M, and AO. So that was their first one. Then 97, they got the online notice. So if a game had online components, they would be able to note that on there. In 1998, they changed kids to adult to E, and then let's see, when was it? 2005 is. So I'm actually surprised that this is it took that long, but E10 was created in 2005, so it was quite a while there. And then see what other things are interesting in here.
Well, one thing I found interesting is it started out with 17 different content descriptors, and they've got 30 today.
Yeah, that's another interesting point there too.
I also like some of the mobile app stuff that they've done, which first launched in 2009, which you can basically take your smartphone, take a picture of the box, and it'll pull up the rating and the long rating description, which is something else they added somewhere in the middle there with the
that was actually
pretty
recent. Let's see, they had the mobile app rating system, interactive elements. Do they have that on here?
That's not on here, I don't think, but that was in the last 5 years, I believe.
Yeah, that wasn't too long ago when they started that, and which is pretty cool. So, they also have they also introduced a press release that talks about a few things. That says the first rating certificates were issued on September 16th, 1994. So that's effectively its birthday. Some of the first titles rated were Doom for Sega, or Sega 32X, which got an M. Pitfall of the Mayan Adventure for the Super NES got a T, and thinking back to that game, I don't see how it got a T. That's an E10 as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
But that didn't exist.
Even an E. Well, I guess he gets eaten by an alligator in the. I guess some of the animations are vivid enough. Mauled by creatures, eaten by alligators, sucked into a quicksand pit. It's cartoony, but it's I could see an E10, but teen.
Yeah. Super Punch-Out got kids to adult. Sonic Triple Trouble for the Game Gear got kids to adult. And Donkey Kong Country got kids to adult. The ESRB says that 94% of all games they have rated are either E, E10, or T, and with E making up 70% overall. So 30% is 30% of all games they've rated are everything else, and only 6% are M or AO, which is actually pretty accurate as far as I know. I've never thought it was anything different.
On a year-to-year basis, that's typically it. There are far more E and E10 games than there are mature-rated games. I think one of the highest was like maybe 20% or something like that. But what I'd have to look at that number. Don't take my word for that. I have to look that up. But however, the usually 40% at least of the top 20 selling games of the year, both the console and PC, are rated M. But or at least the number in the top 5, you'll usually have 3 or 4 M-rated games. But most of the games, depending on console or PC, are usually like stuff like Madden, which is rated E. A lot of the sports games are constantly in the top 20, and also stuff like The Sims, and then they'll also have like the Sims expansion pack, and that'll take up 2 slots. So it's always interesting. So do you have any games throughout history that you would say are misrated by the ESRB?
I don't know if I would say that they're misrated. Just that I don't think the ratings are sufficient to cover them. I'm still of the opinion that that we need to get rid of the M and AO ratings as they are now, and basically change it to an M16 and an M18, and I'm of the opinion that that would do more good than the current M and AO ratings, because GTA 5 is definitely an M18 as far as I'm concerned, and Halo 5 is more of an M16. So I think that's the only complaint I have about the current rating system. But I do have some interesting quirks here. Okay, Super Smash Brothers, is it Melee for the Wii? I think.
For the Wii? Brawl is Wii. Melee was the GameCube.
Okay, but Brawl for the Wii is rated T. Okay, and the Ninja Turtles version of Super Smash Brothers is rated E10. That doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, why is Smash Brothers rated T and Ninja Turtles fighting game rated E10? That's definitely a confusion there. I think Smash Brothers should definitely be an E10.
Because the Turtles are cartoons and Mario and crew are real people? I don't know. I have 2 specific examples of games that I felt were misrated. One is Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I felt that giving it an AO was a mistake. I felt that the M rating covered. First of all, the reason they changed this was, if you remember Hot Coffee, it was a bit of unused code in the game that was a sex scene. And for one, you could not get to it without modifying the game. For 2, regardless, I felt it was completely in line with the game rated M for mature, recommended for kids, set for people, gamers 17 and up, and featuring a content descriptor of strong sexual content. There was, there was no, it wasn't explicit. There was no nudity. So the AO seemed very reactionary to the negative press rather than what was the appropriate.
What the actual content, which is actually kind of an interesting comparison with God of War. In God of War, there is literally a sex mini game in there. It's a quick time event game, and there is nudity in that quick time event game. And that game
camera is focusing the camera like pans off of the sex and onto
onto it. Well, it from what I understand, it focuses off of Kratos and whoever he's having sex with, to two girls who, as you successfully quick events, they fondle each other and
that's right.
And but that game got an M rating, no problems, but GTA San Andreas got AO because somebody found an unused block of code in the game.
Yeah, that was reactionary to, as I said, that was reactionary to bad press rather than what should have been done. The other game I felt was misrated was a game called Forsaken 64 on the N64, and Zachary dropped out again. It's a there you are. Forsaken 64 for the N64 I felt was misrated. It was rated M, and I have no idea why, because it's a racing game where you play a bike that races through tunnels. There's no nudity, no gore, no profanity. There is a splotch of blood that appears if you crash your thing into a wall and your vehicle explodes. So I guess ostensibly there's a guy or gal in the little racing bike thing, and then they die when you crash. I'm like, I was, I don't know, 16, 17 years old. It was N64, so I would have had to have been 16 or older. I called the ESRB and I said, why is this rated M? And they said, for explicit violence and gore. And I said, no, I can read the back of the box. I'm saying there is no explicit violence or gore in this game, so why is, and they kept parroting what it says in the back of the box. I'm like,
the thing with the ratings is that they're the game companies self-select the content that's reviewed by the ESRB. They basically create a sizzle reel about that goes over all the worst parts of the game, and so I guess if the game developers focused a lot on those explosions and blood splatters and stuff, that probably could have been the reason why. And had the game developers used a more still included that, but included a lot more of the normal racing and stuff in between all of that might have changed things. But yeah, it is weird. But yeah, I just have no clue what goes on in their heads sometimes.
Of course, I'm an adult, though even when I was a kid, I don't care about the ratings. I care about the game. A movie rating, a game rating, I'm not more or less interested based on the rating. I care about if you're going to make an Aliens or a Predator movie and it's PG-13, I am less interested because or if you make a Friday the 13th or a Nightmare on Elm Street movie that's PG-13, I'm going to be like, why?
Yeah.
I go to see the stuff that makes this rated R. But generally I don't look at the rating. Half the stuff I play and watch, I can guess what the rating is, but I don't know because I don't care.
Yeah.
But,
now, Nestor says he thinks it's funny there's only a 1 year difference between M and AO, and honestly, that's the reason. That's one of the reasons why I think they need to scrap those two ratings and go with an M16 and an M18. Because it does put a 2 year difference in there, and a 16-year-old is still mature enough to play the vast majority of what's currently M-rated games, and there are a certain segment of M-rated games that I think personally, I think should go with an 18 rating over a 16. But that's just a personal preference of mine.
I might go. I don't know, 15 and 17. M15 and M18, or M15 and M17. 18 just seems, it's like, oh no, 17's still too young. I'm like, really? I can't think of anything that I would, any content that I'd be like, oh man, not showing this to a 17-year-old. No, but once one more year.
Yeah. It's definitely something that needs looked into, and frankly, I would probably be fine keeping the M and AO ratings if the console manufacturers and the retailers would stop being so stupid.
It would be fine if they sell them or license them on their consoles.
Yeah, because there's no reason why they should freak out that Manhunt 2 and GTA San Andreas are rated AO. There's no reason to freak out about that.
Yeah,
it's just
if you don't want
rating,
Yeah, if you don't want explicit sexual content on your console, and by explicit sexual content I mean porn. If you don't want that on your console, fine. Make sure the ESRB has an explicit sexual content descriptor and say, M-rated games are fine, AO games are fine. If it has explicit sexual content, it's not coming on our system.
Yeah.
Or it's not going to be featured on our system, perhaps. Better way to phrase that. Phrasing. Okay, so let us move on to, I think it's our last topic. Yes, it is.
Yes.
So Kickstarter, it has updated its terms of service. And I haven't read the terms of service, but so Zachary, what did they do?
Okay, so there's been a lot of controversy about game projects failings. The Yogg's Adventure game is one of the most recent ones, and that was a pretty loud crashing failure because the game developers basically spent all of the money and came out with nothing. They didn't even have anything playable, as far as I'm aware of. And so Kickstarter's basically taken note of this and other projects that have failed spectacularly, and so they updated the terms of service. So if you're going to launch a Kickstarter, you basically have to do your best to actually release whatever product it is you're kickstarting. Gamma Sutra has this up. These are the new segments. They say the new terms say that if a creator has only remedied the situation, meaning the failure of the project, and met their obligations to backers, if they post an update that explains what work has been done, how funds were used, and what prevents them from finishing the project as planned. They work diligently and in good faith to bring the project to the best possible conclusion in a time frame that's communicated to backers. They're able to demonstrate that they've used funds appropriately and made every reasonable effort to complete the project as promised. They've been honest and have made no material misrepresentations in their communication to backers, and they offer to return any remaining funds to backers who have not received their reward in proportion to the amounts pledged, or else explain how those funds will be used to complete the project in some alternate form. So that's a lot of commitments there. This basically covers, there have been a few cases where somebody successfully funded their Kickstarter and took the money and ran, and basically stopped communication with their backers, and and never followed through with what they were planning. Those are definitely going to fail, are going to be hurt by these new terms. Yogg's Adventures, that one's a little more, little trickier case there. Yogg's Cast, they did come out and they were very open and honest about the project failing, but they might not be able to pass something like the third point there, that they are able to demonstrate that they used funds appropriately. because and made every reasonable effort to complete the project, because they did admit that they paid some contractors up front for their work, and the contractors never delivered. That could be seen as not using the funds appropriately, because nobody in their right mind pays a contractor up front before any work is delivered.
Not in the right mind, no.
Yeah, not in their right mind. So there's that project, but a lot of other projects that failed. Basically Kickstarter's not outlawing failures, failed projects. They're not saying that you can't fail at all. They're just saying that if you're going to fail, you need to fail right and do right by your backers. Do everything that you can to succeed, and keep your backers in the loop, and you're going to be fine. And so I think these are very reasonable additions to the terms of service. I honestly don't see any problems with it. And
it does put a little bit more pressure on someone running a Kickstarter. It's going to make them keep an itemized detailed list of where all the funds are going, just in case something like that happens and they have to explain where all the money went, what it was.
Well, they should be doing that anyways for tax purposes. Yeah. And that's just it. If they're handling their company right, or their group or whatever right, there's no reason why they should have any problems living up to this. Because I haven't seen. I don't think I've seen any game projects that I think would. Any failed game projects that would fall afoul of these new terms of service. But there's definitely been a handful of projects that I'm aware of that would definitely fall afoul, mainly because they aren't keeping their backers in the loop, and they're just kind of, just quietly keeping the money and not delivering anything.
Yeah. Sorry, chatting. So, having a very adult discussion in the chat room today, and Zachary just dropped off. So,
okay,
and he's back.
I am going to have to figure out how to fix this by next week if this keeps happening, because this is not good.
Yeah, we've reached the end of the show anyway. So,
yeah.
Any final thoughts you wanted to say on the Kickstarter stuff? I think it's a fine step. I think it provides protections for both. I haven't actually read the terms of service, but from what I'm hearing, it sounds like it's not too one-sided one way or the other.
Yeah, and it's definitely not one-sided, and and it's not going to stop the vast majority of projects from happening. And really, there's nothing that Kickstarter can do. If you do break these terms of service, if your project's already done and you have your money, there's not really a whole lot Kickstarter themselves can do. But they did they basically said that that not following these could open up the Kickstarter the campaign creator to potential lawsuits from their backers. I'm not aware of anybody who's actually sued a Kickstarter project creator over a failed project, but that possibility is still there. They've got a built-in class right there for a class action lawsuit, so it's bound to happen one of these days, I think. And I think Kickstarter's just covering their butts,
Mm-hmm.
covering their butts. It's just.
Well, there have been lawsuits, so it kind of has to do that. So, all right. So I think that is the show for today, and we kept it well under an hour and a half this time, so that's good.
Yeah.
So let us plug our stuff and be out of here. Andrew Eisen here, E-I-S-E-N. Follow me on Twitter at Andrew Eisen. The Facebook page is called Andrew Eisen YouTube because I have a YouTube channel. Just type in Andrew Eisen and you'll find it. Today is Saturday. Tomorrow is Sunday. I should have my new video up. 150 games for everything but Wii U. I finally finished that, even though I really should have been working on the Hyrule Warriors. I kept editing the script. I'm like, oh, this is getting a little long. And then I'd edit it, and it would be longer. And it ended up spilling onto page 4. So, it's about 10.5 minutes long, but it talks about how many publishers are, the 155 games on the list right now, how many publishers is that? Who has published the most games? What percentage of the list is M-rated games? Yeah, little things like that. So check it out tomorrow, and let me know what you think. That's about it for me. Zachary, plug away.
All right, you can follow me on Twitter at EasyKnight, and you can also check out DK_gaming on Twitter, and that's for DivineKnightGaming.com. Lots of stuff that I'm, doing game development-wise, and hopefully we'll have a September game up over the next week and a half. And you can also check out OK Game Devs on Twitter and okgamedev.com for news about Oklahoma game developers. There's actually a Kickstarter happening right now for a tabletop game made by some guys here in the Oklahoma City area. The game is called All Hands on Deck. It's a card game with a pirate theme, so check that out. And that's really it. Check all that stuff out, and hopefully you like it.
All right. So, you've been listening to episode 115 of Super Podcast Action Committee. Send us email at superpackpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at superpackpodcast. Subscribe and rate us on iTunes, and like us on Facebook. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can we air this show live on GamePolitics.com every Saturday night at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we run a live chat. So if you want to watch it live and participate in the chat with us, you're more than welcome to do so. Just come on over to GamePolitics.com. We also have a poll every week that you can participate in. That's also at Game Politics. Usually have it up by Tuesday or Wednesday, so come check out the site. Or follow me on Twitter or Facebook, and I will post about it there. So we will see you next Saturday. Have a good week, all. Take care.
All right. See ya.